Hello, my name is Myles Lynch, and I am part of the UNESCO Chair of Vietnam team and also a senior lecturer here at VinUniversity within the College of Arts and Sciences. Thank you for joining me today for a very interesting topic on sustainable tourism and crowding within a specific case of Ta Van Village, Vietnam. Ta Van Village, Vietnam is basically a tourist hotspot just right outside Sapa. It is really an attraction due to the rice fields, the natural beauty, and also the rich culture within Vietnam. However, due to this popularity, there's a lot of tourism and which was resulting in lots of different crowding within this area. So this is a specific case of understanding crowding, maybe some different cultural differences, and perspectives of crowding as well. So a lot of this happens to be really connected to changes in service as well. So one example of this that we found as part of this study is lots of more cars are coming into this area, which this area was not built for this many cars. So this is one example of what are some of the environmental impacts and how might this be impacting also the lives of the people, the daily lives of the people within the community. Another example here are the different services that are offered. Here we have the Hamung homemade burgers, right? So this is one new introduction as a result of tourism, different items that are offered. And here I think this is pretty interesting is pickleball is now introduced into the village. Who would have ever thought pickleball would be within Ta Van Village? So this is obviously resulting from the demands of some of the tourists as well. So what are some components of crowding as well? So overcrowding is referring to some of these negative feelings in terms of the different areas having a carrying capacity or how many people or places or things can fit within this area. So oftentimes crowding is a result of kind of overuse of an area, right? And so this could be problematic for some people, and they might feel as though they don't want to go to an area anymore, okay? So how might people adapt to this? So in terms of crowding, people might have different behaviors. So tourists might have different behaviors between substitution, changing different activities. They might avoid the activity altogether, so they might not want to do it due to crowding as well. Displacement might be the most negative form of crowding, is they just don't want to go there anymore. So displacement is that feeling of not wanting to go there. And then temporal substitution, maybe you might go trekking or you might go on a tour at a different time of day or a different season as well. And then finally, activity substitution refers to you substituting one activity for another due to those negative feelings. So this is one example of some behavioral adaptations which could apply to tourists, but they could potentially apply to different local people as well, right? So one of the areas that we're kind of investigating are what are some of those cultural or demographic differences pertaining to overcrowding. So how are locals and tourists experiencing crowding differently or maybe the same? It could be, for example, really positive to have a lot of crowds for a certain area because a lot of local people might have a lot more business for themselves as well, right? So there's all different perspectives of crowding, but there could be negative impacts in terms of environmental damage or new construction that wasn't there once before. A few kind of preliminary findings that we found are general quotes pertaining to crowding. And some of the sentiment is related to one homestay owner saying, you know, I miss the golden years of being here. Back in the day, there was a lot less homestays there, but now there's over 100 more that have been built in just a few years. And so imagine building 100 homestays in a few years and your experience of crowding. Another tour guide told us, it was more beautiful when I was a child. So thinking about the beauty of Sapa and then some of the new construction might have hurt that natural beauty. So she was referring back to her childhood. And then finally, one of the tour guides said, oh, I don't recommend tourists to go there. It's too crazy. So she was referring to Fancy Pan Mountain, where there's an influx of different tourists. So this would be an example of avoidance of that certain area. So these are just some examples of crowding, and we're going to continue doing this research and updating you as part of UNESCO. So some different future considerations to think about and some food for thought is kind of what is sustainable tourism? How can you account for all these different impacts, right? We want people to kind of experience these things, but we also have to think about sustainability. That might come with a more holistic view of tourism. How can we look at the different equitable components, environmental impacts, behavioral differences of people, also the local people, what are their thoughts pertaining to crowding? You know, there might be a lot of positive things that happen as well, right? And so how can we best inform in the future different tourism companies in terms of policy making? Maybe there's new guides or as examples, and also some environmental kind of regulations. So thank you so much for joining me on this one example of Tavan Village pertaining to sustainable tourism and crowding. We're going to continue doing this research and we're going to update you about different things. But if you have any ideas, you can feel free to email me or contact me as part of the UNESCO chair of Vietnam. Thank you so much and have a great day.